Emma, people talk about the difficult discussions around DEI and where they start. What typically are the topics of those difficult discussions?
So a lot of the discomfort around the conversations that people have around diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're trying not to hurt someone's feelings, they're trying not to say something wrong, trying not to impose their own beliefs or perspectives on someone else. So some of the topics are simply around understanding, creating a shared understanding of what it is we're talking about.
Sure.
When I say diversity, what do I mean? When I say inclusion, what do I mean? When I say equity, what do I really mean? And so there are two things that don't really go synonymous, right? So you can't have comfort and growth. So people are going to have uncomfortable conversations in order to grow.
It's okay for people to share what they're feeling. Or what their views are, let's put it that way. That's okay. We have to get those out in the open. That's important as well, isn't it?
It is. So people say there are two things you don't talk about at the dinner table, right? Religion and politics. And I would say challenge that, right? There shouldn't be anything that as we try to grow and evolve and develop that we can't talk about, including your feelings around a specific topic.
And where do we move from there? What's our next step then?
So that gives you an understanding of the other person's perspective, which is crucial to really understanding how they think. And then you can have that same conversation around your perspectives, what you think, what you feel. It opens up a different dialogue at another level where people can then have honest, transparent conversation. That's where we go. So then we move into, okay, so now what do we do with this information? How do we take what we now know and use it to propel us to the next level of conversation? So it's no more surface. We've created a common language, and now we can start to talk about what do we do? How do we make an impact?
Jackie, let's talk about the benefits of DEI. I know some of them are apparent, but let's unpack them. First, let's talk about the benefits from a cultural standpoint.
Yeah, well, culturally, I think when you embed DEI into your organization's culture, you get a ton of benefits. You develop a culture that's more inclusive. You develop a culture that welcomes employees as their true selves, bringing in all of the gifts and not leaving anything at the door. One of the things that organizations often do is that, we create diversity, right? We have diversity of gender, thought, race, all these things. But once you have that diversity, you don't know how to create an inclusive environment where people will want to stay, right? So the next step to diversity is inclusion, and that really focuses on culture, making sure that everybody feels like they can be their true selves. And we benefit from that, right? If you're not having to leave the fact that you speak a second language at the door, you bring that with you. You're able to serve your members better. You're able to engage community better. There's just so many benefits to the culture piece.
And you touched on that a bit. You're able to serve your members better. Mm-hmm. But DEI is good for business, and that can't be overlooked. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part of this work, is really understanding how we're currently serving our members and what the opportunities lie ahead, because I think there are many. I think there are many opportunities, and when you start putting an equity lens, a DEI lens into how to serve members and authentically engage members, which is part of the conversation that we'll be having today, in how to engage community as a whole, you start seeing that we have plenty of opportunity in diverse communities. Their future markets are going to be diverse. The country as a whole is changing and continues to become more and more diverse. So thinking about equity and DEI right now is really positioning us for the future. And it's just really smart business for us to start looking at our policies, our practices, our culture, and making sure all of that has a DEI lens for us to be relevant in the future.
Angela, as one of our panelists today, you're going to talk about the key elements of DEI. Can you kind of give us an overview of what you're going to speak about?
Yeah, my part of the conversation today is some of the key elements to leading a diverse team. So we want diversity and inclusion at our organizations, but sometimes we are not taught about what are the elements that you need in order to have and lead a diverse team. So those are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. And when you have a diverse team, it's kind of leading an orchestra. Like all parts of the orchestra matter. All of the instruments matter. So learning how we can listen to each other on a diverse team, thinking about as a leader, what kind of self-awareness do I need to have about my own biases? How do I check my own biases? How do I embrace cultural humility so we can all learn and from each other and together and really stay in the course? Sometimes it can get a little wonky. And so what are some of the things that we need to do to stay the course?
So you have to learn how to listen more as a leader.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not only listen, but embrace and highlight how these differences matter across the team. And really sometimes connecting the dots for folks.